Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of the Educational Leadership Podcast. We have another very special guest. We have Dr. Kelly from Bridge City ISD. Dr. Kelly, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, Gary. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Excited to have you here. Before we jump into the discussion, just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact is giving hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to public education, to school districts around the great state of Texas. Requires zero out of pocket to the district and can be used for higher teacher salaries or whatever the needs may be. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Dr. Kelly, for those that are listening in, if you can share a little bit about your background.
Okay, yeah, I have, this is my 22nd year in education. My second year here in Bridge City ISD as a superintendent. It's my second year, but it's actually my third school year. When I came in April of 21, so all of last year and then this year. But so 2 years here, 17 years total in administration. 11 of those as principal, and currently in my 6th year as superintendent overall. I've been in districts with enrollments 180 K-12. That was a little district in Central Texas. Jonesboro ISD, 180 kids K-12 up to about 3,200 now is where I'm at. I'm currently a member of the Thompson Leadership Institute, the superintendent cohort 30. And I'm also a member of Tarleton State University's 11th doctoral cohort. So I went through Tarleton State for my doctorate there out of Stephenville. And so that's me in a nutshell.
Yes. I mean, that's a very extensive background in public ed. So I'm excited about today's conversation. If you can, just there's so many topics out there right now, from finance to security to, we've had some really interesting topics on the podcast. So I'm just curious, what are you passionate about in public education right now?
Well, Gary, you say right now, I think we all better get passionate about the educator shortage. That is something that affects right here and now. Overall, my passions in public ed are school improvement. Always aim to leave a campus or a district in better shape than I found it, or inherited it. And then opportunities for students. I'm big on students just having another reason to come to school besides the academics itself. I think extracurricular activities, UIL, all of those other things that go into the school district and those other opportunities that students have, whether it's a barbecue team or a fishing team or whatever it is, but students need a reason to be excited outside of academics. Obviously, academics are the number one reason we're all here, but I truly believe that all students need another purpose, another reason to come to school. And so those would be my two big ones would be just overall improvement of a campus or a district. And then student opportunities. But again, right now, I think on the forefront of everybody's mind is the educator shortage. I say educator shortage because it's not just teachers. I mean, we're short teachers and paraprofessionals and nurses and bus drivers, custodian, cafeteria staff. It's the whole thing right now. And so we're in a spot in public ed that we really need to get the good word out about all the good things happening and get more folks wanting to be a part of it, because like I said, it's kind of a dire time right now with the educator shortage.
Understood. And I'm familiar with Bridge City. It's a beautiful area out there. So that's definitely a place I think people would want to be, as an educator. So just curious, I know there's been a lot going on, right, related to public education. You have the perception, you have the media, you have COVID, you have, all kinds of discussions around public ed. What do you think's driving the shortage the most right now? Is it student growth? Is it something happening, in society? I mean, what do you think is the biggest driver?
Well, I think there's a lot of drivers right now. I think one of the big things is just teacher just respect to the teacher, respect to the classroom. You know, if you remember just a couple short years ago when all teachers were superheroes, you know, when COVID came and students had to start being educated from home and stay home with their parents and things. And I think people saw firsthand what teachers do on a daily basis. And it just seems like, even though that was a short time ago, that's already, you know, it's already been forgotten. I just think that the overall respect for the profession, respect for the teacher in the classroom, you know, I've heard it. I'm sure you've heard it mentioned before, the survey by Charles Butt that just came out and talks about. I think that the most staggering statistic to me is there's several, but one is that 77% of teachers who are currently in public ed in Texas are considering leaving the profession, and 93% of those 77% have actually taken steps to do so, whether that's updating a resume or you know, taking days off to go look. But that, to me, that's pretty eye-opening when 93% of the 77% who are considering leaving the profession have already taken steps to do so.
Yes. I mean, that's a scary situation right there. 77% and 93% of that 77 have taken action to actually move forward with that. It's one thing, you know, not, you know, thinking about changing your career, but actually taking steps towards it is a big deal.
Right.
What's been the biggest challenge with teachers? Are they saying they want more pay? Is it, I mean, what's going on?
You know, the number one, and I believe that number one in the survey was pay. So I really hope that the legislature takes some steps, you know, this session to help us out there. Hopefully with an increase to the basic allotment, that would be at you know, the minimal step. I think that the first step they could take is helping us out with the basic allotment, may be able to put more in the pockets of teachers. You know, I think there's some, and I'm not speaking for my district, I'm speaking overall, because I believe we do very well in a lot of areas that you know, showed in the survey to be reasons that they were looking to get out. But you know, just teacher support from the campus leadership or district leadership. I've mentioned the you know, discipline in the classroom. I think that's very tough, especially at the younger levels. You know, at pre-K, K1. You know, going back a couple years, and you think about where these students were during COVID, and they weren't with their peers. That, you know, there was not a lot of interaction. If they come from you know, maybe they don't have any siblings, so they're at home alone, or maybe they're there with one or two siblings, or whatever that might be. That's a lot different when you you know, bring those kids to a campus of 800 students, and now they're in a room with, you know, 16 to 22 kids, and you know, so some behavioral things come out, some social emotional things start coming to the surface, especially in those early elementary years. And so I think if district wise, if we've had a tough spot, I would say it's been those early elementary years have been the toughest for my district personally. And I do tie some of that, or a lot of it, back to COVID and back to the lack of interaction and just, you know, social skills and things that students were typically coming to us with that they're not right now.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, I think those listening in and us as adults, we experienced a little bit of that ourselves, just coming out of COVID and getting, you know, being more sociable and getting out more. And I can't imagine as a child when you're being developed so much at that age, right? So that makes perfect sense. Now, your district, if I understand it correctly, you guys are, you know, y'all think outside the box when it comes to financing. So you're not just waiting on the government to give you funding. Could you talk a little bit about that? You know, what you're doing to kind of get additional funding sources?
Well, you know, you have to get creative, and that's part of you know, I mentioned the Thompson Superintendent Leadership Institute, and that's part of of what that group of leaders does is you know, we've got leaders from all over, superintendents from all over the state and surrounding states that just look at problems we've had forever that we need to start attacking in different ways. One of the things that has come out of those conversations is, again, for this, in regard to teacher shortage especially, is all of us, you look at any school district, we have some excellent paraprofessionals. You can go in any school building in Texas, and you're going to find some paraprofessionals that you just go, man, he or she really needs to be in the classroom. We need to get them in a certified role and get them in front of some more kids. And for whatever reason, whether they don't have the means or the time, or you know, there's infinite number of reasons that they may have not pursued their teaching degree. You know, there's some things out there, and we're putting in place now where we can get those paras back to school. We can pay for their schooling as a school district. We can get them in a classroom in front of students under a certified teacher of record. And so get them in front of students, and while we're paying for them to go back to school, and then they complete that schooling and again paid for by the district, and we just ask them in return to give us 3 years in the classroom, give us an opportunity, you know, give us a chance. And you mentioned it earlier. I mean, Bridge City ISD is a phenomenal school district doing a lot of things well. And we feel like if we can get teachers in the door and give us a chance, give our processes and procedures and people a chance. And if we can get them for 3 years, we think that we have a good chance of keeping them because of our culture, because of things that, you know, the way that we treat folks. One of the things that we have done for years is we have a welcome back cardinal. It's a welcome back incentive. That's $1,000. So if you end your school year as a cardinal and you come back in August and you return to our school district, you get a welcome back cardinal check. You know, again, of $1,000 as a thank you, as an incentive for return. We do a fall incentive right around Thanksgiving as people start to do their holiday shopping. And so, you know, we try to do some things outside the box, outside of our just normal salary scale, to show people that, you know, we love you, we care about you, and we thank you for all that you do for the students in our school district.
Love it. Yeah, that reminds me. So we did another episode where we were talking about incentives and that sort of thing. And it sounds like you guys are doing something similar, which I think is great. You know, it's almost like a performance based. You have your salary plus, you know, additional incentives for you know, your tenure or whatever it may be. So that's really creative. And it's exciting. So have your teachers been pretty responsive to that? I imagine they have. $1,000.
You know what? Oh, absolutely. They love the welcome back cardinal, and some of those things I talked about, you know, with sending paras back to school. Those are things we're just rolling out. And so we'll see how, you know, the reception has been good from the leadership team, and we think it's going to be a great process, a great thing for us.
Awesome. Yeah, no, you know, when we first started the conversation, we had started talking about how public education is not just about academics. There's other things that shape students, right? That, you know, that students need depending on what environment they're coming from. Could you talk a little bit about that? Kind of what you guys are doing to, you know, bring more to the table than just academics?
Well, you know, in general, the accountability system is you'll hear it a lot, that's based on one test, one day. And we feel like, you know, we have students in school 176 days, and we do amazing work 176 days out of the year. And so, you know, for accountability to be such a small snapshot of what we're doing on that one test, on that one day, you know, we try to, I think your offerings have to differ by school district, by your area, you know, are you in an agricultural area? You know, so what we've tried to do here is our career and technology classes we try to revolve those around the needs in this area. You know, a lot of refineries, a lot of gas and oil and different things like that. And so, you know, working with those guys, hey, what can we do in our career and technology classes that will be beneficial to our students, that will help them, that will give them some experiences that they can use right away, right? You know, as soon as they graduate, whether they go straight into the workforce or to a two-year college or to university, the hope is that they return to Bridge City, to the community, and make a positive difference. And so I think everything we do is you know, revolves around that. What can we do to work with our community, to make our community stronger, and to have you know, to have our kids return to our community. I was just looking at something this weekend about, you know, the number of teachers we have in Bridge City ISD that are graduates of Bridge City ISD. So we're doing something right. We're doing something where people want to return and want to be a part of, you know, be a part of it. And that's the goal for the entire community, is to bring these kids back to the community and put all the good things they've learned through the ISD in place to work in their community and make a positive difference here.
Yeah, that's amazing, because you think about, you know, 20 years ago or whenever it was, the traditional path was, you know, graduate, go to college, you know, go get a job somewhere, right? And it sounds like you guys have a very practical approach to, you know, your community, right? So there's, you know, for
Well, and
example,
Gary, let me give you just, I guess, more of kind of a tangible example. In my prior district in Central Texas, we had a group of students come to us, you know, wanting to start a barbecue team. And so, you know, we put the resources together, we put the folks in place and put a barbecue team together. They competed all over the state of Texas, had an incredible time. And one of the students that competed on that barbecue team ends up going and getting a scholarship to a university here in Texas, based on the barbecue, you know, from the barbecue team. And so those are the types of things I'm talking about down here in Bridge City. You know, we're on the coast. We have water all around us, bayous, lakes, the Gulf. We got water everywhere. We've got a fishing team, and we've got an incredible fishing team. And so that, you know, that's where I think that you've got to look at the resources available in the area, the things that the students are interested in outside of school, and somehow bring those things into school. And so I think those are two tangible examples that come to me right now, that you know, that kids were interested in and came to the school and said, hey, we would like to do this. Is there any, you know, we do this in our spare time. How can we do this? And we figured out a way to do it in the school system.
that makes sense. And what about some of the trades that are out there? Like right now, my family comes from 3 generations in the HVAC space, and right now there's a 38% deficit for HVAC technicians. And some of these technicians can make $100,000 a year, and they don't go through traditional college, but they have their training they go through, and it's pretty good job security. You think about supply and demand and a 38% deficit.
Absolutely.
What kind of do y'all get involved much in that, as far as like trade school and that sort of thing?
Well, we are actually, you know, we just passed a bond last May. We passed a bond for a new middle school, and then for a big addition to the back of our high school that is career and technology, 100%, you know, career and technology. And so again, kind of tied to this area, there's a lot of need for mechanical engineering, engineering in general. And so, you know, we've got programs in place for mechanical engineering. We've got a lot of stuff for nursing, for you know, kids to leave our high school with certifications toward their nursing degree and on that nursing path. You know, we have building trades, construction, like you're talking about with HVAC, electricity in general. We realize that, you know, just like you said, I mean, the amount of jobs that are in our area, and again, life is not all about money, but when you're talking to high school kids about a career and about the things they can go do and the kind of money they can make in some of these professions that we're talking about, whether that's HVAC or plumbing, construction, construction is booming all over the area. And like I said, there are not enough folks going into those things. And so, to go into a profession that is going to support you and your family and take care of you guys well, but at the same time, you're able to give back and to build the community around you and make it a better place. So yes, all of our career and technology programs, we try to tie to our region and to our area and make sure that the things we are doing in career and technology have in Orange County, they are in need. Again, whether it's nursing, whether it's electricity or plumbing, that those needs are here and they're present, and our kids can go through those programs and come out and make an immediate impact in their community if they so choose to.
Love it. Yeah, no, this is awesome. And one thing that comes to mind, as we've had this conversation here, is just innovation and how you guys are thinking outside the box. You're not waiting for something to happen. You're making things happen. And so that's exciting. It's really exciting. And I know we're running short on time here. So I have a last question for you. It's kind of I've called it kind of like an ice bucket challenge a little bit, but if you were to give a shout out, who do you think should come on here and share their story, similar to what you've done today?
Gary, I've got a bunch of folks that I would love to reach out to, and at the expense of leaving one of them out. I may bow out of the challenge, but I can tell you that through, like I said, through this Thompson Academy, I'm in there with 17 superintendents all across Texas, from me to El Paso. So, from as far southeast Texas as you can get to El Paso, all up and down the I-35 corridor. That's 17 of them. We have 2 superintendents in our cohort from Puerto Rico, one from Louisiana, one from Arkansas, one from Oklahoma, and one from New Mexico. And so, that group there, there's 23 folks, that you could talk to, but several in Central Texas that shaped me and made me the person that I am today. Joe Kachera at Lorena ISD. That would be somebody that I think you would be delighted to have on, and the impact that he's had on my life and just kind of the trek I've taken through educational leadership myself. Always a phenomenal district and campus leader, but Joe Kachera would be a great one. But again, there are a lot of others, and Gary, I'll reach out and try to hook you guys up with some of those great leaders that I know.
Yeah, we definitely want to get the good word out around public education, because it's easy to put things in a box based on something you hear somewhere, some anomaly or some outlier. But man, there's just so many positive things happening in public education. I appreciate you sharing your background and kind of what you're passionate about today. So just thank you, Dr. Kelly, for coming on the podcast today.
Absolutely, Gary. I appreciate you having me, man. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you. And for those of y'all that have been tuning in, we just want to give a shout out to our sponsor one more time before we close out. Ideal Impact. We're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to public education. So if your district needs higher teacher salaries or additional funding for anything, it's unrestricted funds. Reach out to Ideal Impact and stay tuned for future episodes of the Educational Leadership Podcast.